Hello.
Hi. Hello, Lisa.
Hello.
Is that I hear some kind of buzzing electronic sound in the background? Is that just me or
No, I heard the same thing. I think it was Steve's mic. So let's test. I'm going to mute.
well, seems to begin, at least for me. Right. Um it's 2 past. Let me start getting the notes. I can find them. Oh, it's back. All right. Well, we are a small group for now. But it's 3 past. I guess we should get started. Okay, let me share the notes, the link to the notes in the chat. And sign people in.
Sure, you want to edit the template and not the one right below that?
That's a very good observation, Mark. Thank you. Steve. And Lisa, feel free to sign yourself in if you would like to. All right. Yeah, so let's get started. Welcome everyone to the CDF TOC meeting. Today is October the 8th. My name is Andrea Frittoli. I work for IBM. And as usual, this meeting is recorded. So hopefully that's all right for everyone. And yeah, oh, Steve left us. Hopefully he will join us back. All right. And yeah, welcome, Lisa, to the meeting. Thanks for joining us today. So we have a few things labeled on the agenda, and maybe we can go through the agenda items first, and then if there are more things we'd like to discuss, we can do it at the end. So first thing, elections are happening. So we have 2 seats for the project seats, TOC project seats that are open. And yeah, so here is a link to the election issues. So right now we have 3 candidates that have been nominated, and we have 2 seats. So there is an election going on, and voting is happening, and it will stop on October the 14th, and on October the 15th, the winners or the elected candidates will be announced. So yeah, looking forward to having you contributors to the TOC. Oktoberfest 2024 is running and CDF is participating. So this is the blog post from Roxanne, and we have 4 projects participating from the CDF, CDVans, Jenkins, Ortelius, and Tecton. I don't have any numbers right now about participation, I've seen a couple of PRs happening, one on Tecton, one on CD events from Oktoberfest participant, which is good. But yeah, I guess we'll keep you guys posted on progress. And maybe towards the end of the month, we'll start gathering some numbers and see how it went for everyone. Right. In terms of projects, Shipwright, as you all might know, moved to the CNCF. And so it was announced. We have this blog post for the announcement that you may read. And then we discussed this within the kind of CDF staff call and agreed there that we would remove the project from the landscape as opposed to mark it as kind of archived project. Yeah, just wanted to let the TOC know about this and see if anyone had any concern with this decision.
No, I think that's the right decision.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks, Mark. All right. Some updates from TechStrong. We made a plan for what's coming up in terms of TechStrong events. So there will be a Jenkins themed one in October. And then we plan for a city events, TechStrong talk or chat in November. And there will be a Spinnaker one planned for December or January. And the exact details and participant and speakers are to be defined, but at least we have some owners for each of these and a plan in place. Right. And so we had some discussions in the staff meeting about SIGs as well, and I wanted to bring the discussion to the TOC, even though there's not much of the TOC here today to discuss about this, but it's good to present it at least and for the recording, and we can resume conversation next time. So the point is that we have many SIGs today, and many of them at very low levels of activities. So the proposal is to consolidate SIGs where possible, archive inactive ones. And also there is one new group that is coming up that I wanted to introduce here. And thanks for being here, Lisa. Maybe you can say a few words about that if you'd like to. But yeah, basically the idea is that we have an interoperability special interest group. We have the events special interest group that was spawned off the interoperability one. And most of the discussions or the things that are happening in terms of events moved to the CD events project itself. So in the SIG, there's not much happening. And we have the best practices SIG. And so the proposal would be to kind of bring best practices and interoperability discussion into a single SIG. So that makes it easier to, bring more contributors together and having some discussions there. So that's one. For the MLOps SIG, last commit that I was checking, last commit was 3 months ago. I don't know about the last working group meeting. I don't think that the notes are updated there, so I'm not sure about that. But yeah, so I think that group is still active, even though I'm not sure whether it's just one person maintaining the group or it's actually a working group and it should continue as a working group, or it's like a initiative by one person. So we need to decide what we want to do moving forward with that. And finally, the supply chain working group. Last commit was 1 year ago. Last meeting, according to the notes, was in 2022. So unless anyone can report of activity on this working group somewhere else happening, I would say we should close this one, mark it as archived. So this is, I guess, for all the consolidating and archiving side of things. On a more positive note, there is a new initiative, Fundamentals of Data Ops. And yeah, as I said, if you would like Lisa to say a couple of words about it, or if not, it's okay. I don't want to put you on the spot. Sorry.
It's okay. I might take a little bit of extra time to explain it and share my screen if that's okay with you.
Absolutely. So we don't have anything else to. So how do I stop sharing my screen? Let me see.
I can try sharing and maybe I'll just kick you out.
No, that's found it.
That worked. Can everybody see this okay? Is that?
Yes, thank you. Thanks very much.
Fantastic. Yeah, so I should introduce myself for anybody here who doesn't know me or forgot my background or my name. My name is Lisa. I am the product manager at a company called Data Strato. So we do an open source data catalog. I also work with LF AI and data, and I now recently have taken on leading OP's developer working group. So I feel like that has a lot of close initiatives, and you'll see how everything kind of ties together. But initially, through different conversations, there's always been this question of what is data ops? What is the relevancy of data ops to CDF? And how can we kind of bring those two worlds together in terms of training, right? How can we get DevOps engineers caught up with data engineering and MLOps terms? How can we get, data engineers and MLOps engineers caught up with, DevOps in terms of concepts and philosophy, so that kind of these things play a little bit better together. So essentially, I wanted to create a set of training materials. The end goal, like the far stretch end goal of this, is to do a certification at the end. But I'm pitching to everybody right now as a series of blog posts, because by keeping it manageable, we can actually make progress. But essentially, if we had a given architecture and we wanted to implement CI/CD and different sort of data ops practices from an end-to-end perspective, where would we start and who would we rope into that conversation? And how can we then create those conversations and make them exposable for other engineers to learn how to implement? So really, it's a set of technical materials and guides that we want to show from the end-to-end side. So from data source to like machine learning application deployment, which is very ambitious. I have heard that many times, that this is like such a big fish to chew. So that's kind of the idea so far, right? And this is coming out of the CDF because I'm an ambassador and I was looking for ambassador-y things to do with other ambassadors. And because my network is mostly in the data engineering and MLOps world, a lot of those folks ended up jumping on this as well. So again, we wanted to make it, very accessible, start with a series of blog posts, turn that into a set of hands-on tutorials, and then eventually as a certification or course that people can enjoy and do for free. So we currently have a few course editors and writers to kind of help oversee all of this, but there's going to be a lot of hands touching and moving this as people want and as we get people to do it. But generally, this is kind of the idea. And this is sort of the outline, I guess, of different content that we'll have. So for instance, like at the beginning, we'll have some discussion of how does data ops differ from DevOps? What makes data ops philosophy special? How do we overview different, data architectures? And then how do we introduce things like pipeline orchestration, CI/CD, data quality checks, data contracts? Like there's just so much that kind of scopes and gets so much bigger. And I'm sure that as more people contribute, it will get larger and larger and larger. But it is kind of this idea of like, I can say this because I know that you guys know it. Like if we took something like the Phoenix project or the Unicorn project and we gave like these engineers a really messy architecture, and that's kind of the idea, is that we're drafting the space architecture. And then we said, okay, how would you implement data contracts in this? How would you actually make this reproducible in some sort of way? And then have them go through that thought process, because that's the reality. And that's sort of the pros and the journey that we want somebody to go through. And so all of these will share the same architecture design, and it will kind of end up being that way. Are there any questions around that general idea so far?
So the general idea sounds brilliant, and it sounds like for sure there's a bucket of work that you're envisioning here, an enormous volume of work. So the series of steps, you said the first step you envisioned was blog posts, so immediately approachable for people, so they don't have to register for a course. They can just go read it, and it starts to increase our visibility.
Yeah, and the reason for that too is to give writers the chance to flesh their thoughts out and to kind of, it gives us a high level overview of what that content will look like and how cohesive it actually is, and give us first edits. Yeah.
And where were you planning to put the blog posts? Off of the CD Foundation website, or a specific like ML Ops website, or what were your thoughts on that?
Very likely the CDF website. Some people might want to cross post to their mediums, but I feel like all in one place as like this series makes sense for us, especially considering that it's coming out of us anyways.
Thank you. Yes, I'm strongly in favor of CDF site as the choice rather than a separate location. So thanks. It's already enough work for us to maintain the CDF site.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was curious, because I believe the CDF site, is that WordPress? I think it is. So we'll just need a way to get the documents, the blog posts from developers over to Roxanne to get them posted. So that's the only concern I have on that front.
Yeah, the idea is hopefully, so right now we have a Google Drive for all of this, but I've been asking
Oh,
Roxanne to get us a repo started so that hopefully we can have a separate repo for the blog post. People can just commit to it, and then maybe you guys can just pull directly from there.
that works. However is easiest. Even doing well-known Google Docs and stuff like that would work as well. Just I know the Google Docs is a little bit. I don't know what plugins they have in WordPress. So maybe just the repo would work the best. We'll have to touch base with Roxanne to find out because she's going to be the one doing that work. It's not going to be a huge amount, but we want to make her life easy and keep her happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've talked with Roxanne before about this because I asked her initially, I was like, is this better as a SIG, or is this something that we should just do on our own? Because I feel like there's so many moving parts to this that it's hard to organize everybody. Because there's so many external contributors here, they don't all want to be on the CDF Slack. Getting the mailing list together and getting a regular Zoom meeting makes sense. Having a repo on the CDF makes sense. But beyond that, it's sort of like, where should we go? How much should we pour into resources for this? Should it be something that's primarily led by me? I would prefer not the second because I can be a bottleneck that way. But yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah, because I think we could probably, if we could probably add somebody, like you said, not necessarily you, but maybe somebody else as a WordPress administrator to create the blog posts. So we don't have to have Roxanne doing everything, but we'll just have to play it by ear. I just want to make life easy for everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, agreed.
Lisa, I think you should set it as a goal to overwhelm Roxanne with blog posts. I would love to have that problem. That is a problem we should be afflicted with, right? I would love to suffer that problem and find a solution.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely might happen, especially since the CDF is meant to be the hub, but I think we're going to end up pulling from different parts of the LF to actually get this done. And I think that's the vision that everybody sees. And kind of to make my earlier point, like there's going to be a chapter on securing things. Like we should get the AIML working group from OpenSSF to do that. We have the Data on Kubernetes community who wants to pitch in on this. There's so many moving parts. It's almost like, oh my gosh, like how are we going to get from point A to point B? But also as somebody who's leading the developer working group for OPIA. So for those who don't know, OPIA is another LF initiative that brings like open source generative AI applications. So it's all available on GitHub. It's backed by Intel. And so they have like this huge issue right now of having all of these different applications that leverage generative AI, but the actual documentation and the CI/CD aspects of it are quite immature. Like it's actually this huge mess and there's so many applications. And so by leading this group and talking with Rachel, who leads it, we're actually able to put all of the code that we put here into practice into their repos. And because Intel is behind it, as long as we use OPIA applications, which makes sense for me to use as examples here, they're willing to offer some compute and resources for us so that people can actually work on this in, a cloud environment if they want to, or we can deploy it. And I think that's really exciting for folks to think about because I would not want all of this on my local system. I think that would be a terrible idea. So
Yeah, so you just said magic words for me. The healthy self-interest of Intel to encourage people to use their systems combined with your interest in this topic. That sounds brilliant. Go. Yeah.
yeah. So this is the vision so far of how things are tying together. But again, I feel like I'm already even being a bottleneck at this point. So I feel like having the ownership of CDF in general might even make more sense, even if it's me driving it and putting the pieces together.
And I don't know if you saw Andrea drop in the link to your repo. So
Uh,
you have a repo that's ready to go.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I don't think I have write access on it currently, but I think Roxana can give me that. Fabulous.
If
So yeah,
you
it's all around. It's all there.
Yeah, if you run into any problems with access, you could reach out to Andrea or myself and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so any thoughts or ideas or feedback or even advice is very much appreciated. Whether or not this should be a formal SIG, I'm not sure. I'll let you guys decide. I'm happy to do it either way. From what it sounds like, you guys have a lot of SIGs going on already, and you're looking to cut down. So I don't want to add more to the issue in case this becomes abandoned. But yeah, happy to open it up to the floor.
I personally don't think it needs to be another SIG, but we can help you out if you need a Zoom meeting stood up for meeting times and stuff like that. I would just do it like that. That'd be my suggestion.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I mean, if it helps you, if at some point you reach a size where you think, oh, actually having a SIG or a kind of formal governance for the group would be helpful to you, we can, help you set that up. But if that is not something that helps you, I don't think we need to have a SIG at all. So my question would rather be, how can we as a TOC help you be successful with this initiative?
Yeah, I think right now the wrangling is kind of the the issue that I'm facing, but that's something that Roxana and I are working on, just getting people all in one place. The visibility and getting people in to help be editors on different chapters is great. And I think one of the issues I'm having right now is that everybody has really, deep technical knowledge in one of these aspects, but having the right people to take the ownership of overseeing the true end-to-end process and the delivery and the hunting people down and checking on their chapters is really kind of the key part. I can bring people in really easily, but I think it's keeping them engaged over time that I think will be difficult. There's also this question of, I've talked with Roxanne a bit about getting this as a certification and what requirements that might look like. I don't know what ownership will look like in this situation because so many people will be contributing. If LF decides to, charge money for an exam or certification, like who owns that? That's almost too far in the future. But with something like this, it's so messy. So I'm hoping things to at least be tracked in the repo of who's contributing. So any ideas? I feel quite green to all of this, so happy to take any suggestions.
Yeah, I think your approach of getting the blogs taken care of first, and then building upon the blogs into a course will be easier than trying to jump right into an LFX course. I mean, that's a huge lift. They have people that are full-time dedicated to writing training courses and certifications. I think that's down the road.
Mhm.
So I just look at the blogs, and some of the things that I've learned is with the Ortelius project is you have to get kind of prime the pump. So one of the things is you just don't throw out there, what do you want to talk about? And nobody will respond. But if you give them a topic, then they'll go in and write for that topic. So it's weird when you just leave it open ended to people that you get no response. But if you give them something, a task to do, they'll actually go off and do it. So
Yeah.
it's weird that way with the contributors.
Yeah, okay. That sounds about right. And I think maybe creating issues around each chapter and checklists for people is a little bit more guided. I think that one of the things that people have is that sort of paralysis of like, oh my God, how do I start with a topic
Yeah,
like accountability? Yeah.
it's the overwhelming factor. So I think
Yeah.
your key term there is guided. It
Mhm.
will take some upfront work on your part to get that guided path in place.
Mhm.
But that would be a definite plus.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I appreciate the advice.
Yeah, in
Well,
terms
yeah,
of
go
sorry.
ahead. Yeah.
No, I mean in terms of keeping the community or the people around, I think that's kind of different type of challenge, or it's entire new different things. I mean, if you want people like contributing blog posts or material for courses, I think it's one thing. If you want to keep people like meeting together and discussing about things, that's probably a different thing
Mm,
entirely. It might be that from the blog post, they stem some discussions, and some discussions, interesting topic of discussion come out of this, and so people want to discuss about them, and then we can provide kind of a working group space where people can meet and have this discussion. It can be that it actually comes out from after we have an initial set of blog posts and
mhm.
on different topics that people wants to actually discuss about these. I was wondering, do you plan on having some kind of group that does review about this documentation, or have some discussion about the topics, or is really like um, independent
So we have
content?
two folks right now, and it's currently myself and a technical editor
Okay.
who's meant to oversee the end to end. So currently we're drafting the base architecture that everybody else will pile onto it and provide feedback on. And that's kind of the idea so far, is that we have two folks who wrangle everything. Although I'm more of the people and the content person, and she's definitely more of the kind of making sure that the technical editing is right, the code is right. So kind of getting that mix of readability and usefulness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
But yeah, if anybody else from the CDF wants to join in too, I'm happy to have them. I think that we're both very data heavy people, so I think having somebody with more of a traditional DevOps background might make sense to add into that mix. Yeah, well, I think that's mostly my part. I don't really have much to add. I know that Dadisi thought that it probably would have been a good idea for me to talk about this at some point. So
Yeah, thanks very much, Lisa. So the outline feels like a great place for people to contribute. You've set up a way for multiple people to contribute, and those contributors have a place to do it and a topic to do it. Yeah, thanks very much.
appreciate that. Yeah, I think there's probably still a lot here missing, but I think that it's any organization that at least has most of these in place, I think will be in a pretty good shape.
Cool. Yeah, thanks again, Lisa. And yeah, so this takes us to the end of the agenda for today. Does anyone have anything else that they would like to discuss?
No other topics from me. Thanks, Andrea.
I'm good as well.
Okay. Yeah, then, and thanks for joining us, Brian and Rashid. Sorry, I didn't realize you joined the meeting earlier. But yeah, if there is anything you would like to bring up or you want to introduce yourself, feel free to do so. Otherwise, we'll close the meeting. All right, sounds good. So thanks everyone again, and see you next time. Bye.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.